Hey guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm Gio and I'm alongside Adamo for this transfer day deadline, the last hour before the summer transfer window officially closes for Milan and for all the other Italian clubs. Pretty disappointing day to sum it all up right away, as Milan haven't received the midfield that they were waiting for. It hasn't arrived, and of course, many fans all around the world are obviously very, very disappointed with this. Now, let's talk a bit about the actual transfer rumors that became reality today, because some players did in fact leave while others remained. Now, first of all, let's start off with Matri, as he has joined Lazio on loan for the 2015-2016 Serie A season. Now, the loan, of course, was kind of expected in the past few days. They were already speaking about it, that Matri was on his way out. And there it goes. There it is. Pretty much he left the club and he has joined Lazio on loan. Zaccardo, the mighty Zaccardo, has also left as he signed a 2-year contract with Carpi on a permanent deal. So about time, after a summer full of rejections from Zaccardo, he has finally left the club. Moving on, Mastour has joined Malaga on a 2-year loan deal. Now, there's a buyout clause in the contract set at 5 million euros for the player once his loan deal ends. But Milan have included a buyback clause as well, which should be set for around 6 million euros. Now, of course, Mastour was going to play with the Primavera this season. He wasn't going to be participating in the first team squad. So definitely he wasn't going to get much playing time. Now, Adamo, I just want your opinion on this 2-year loan deal away from Milan onto Malaga. You know, some people are going to say we should have given this kid more of a chance. We should have included him in the first squad. But, of course, he's still very young. Do you think this 2-year loan deal on Malaga could definitely build his confidence, maybe actually play for their team, being, of course, a smaller club in general, with not much pressure as you would get at Milan?
Well, I definitely hope that's the case. I mean, he should be getting more playing time at Malaga. They're still a pretty decent team, so I don't know how much time he will be getting, depending on how much they trust a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old. But hopefully, you know, Mastour does well at Malaga, and I wish him all the best. And he just needs solid playing time, really.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully this time it's the case for Mastour. He actually gets some playing time, because, of course, it's been very embarrassing that Milan haven't given him much of a chance. But that's understandable if you're looking at it from another point. Now, what I'm kind of skeptical about is the buyout option there that Milan have set for the player. I've read that if Malaga actually indeed go for this buyout option for Mastour, then Milan will have a chance to get a big sum of money if they decide to sell to other clubs in the future. With this could be good, because Milan could get a lot of money if Mastour lives up to his promises, but it could also be bad because, of course, he's a player that he's up there in the ranks. So we'll see what happens with him, but hopefully he has a good season at Malaga. Now, let's speak about the midfield, because, of course, this was the main topic of discussion all summer long, all waiting for that midfielder to come, but he never arrived. Now, Milan actually missed out on every midfielder possible that was supposed to come, and I'm talking about Soriano and Witsel. Very disappointed once again with neither of them actually coming, as Soriano moved to Napoli for a 13.5 million euros plus Zuniga move, which is actually quite interesting, while Milan wasn't able to come to an agreement with Zenit over the formula for Witsel. Milan pretty much wanted a loan with option to buy, while Zenit wanted an obligation to buy to be included. So, of course, very sad times for Milan fans, as both of these players were actually open to a move to Milan. But Milan, you know, think it's okay. They think the midfield is fine with signing Kucka as their last signing of this summer window, which is completely not understandable. And you got to give some stick to Galliani and the club, because everyone knew from the start that this midfield needed some good reinforcements, some world-class players, and yet they went on to spend 20 million for Bertolacci, which up to now hasn't lived up to his price tag, and really, really embarrassing business there by Milan. Now, Adamo, what is your take on this whole midfield situation?
Well, I mean, I think Milan handled it very, very poorly. You know, I don't get how, like, where their logic came from in this Mercato. Our midfield is clearly where we need the most, and you know, it's just the fact that they overspent on a player like Bertolacci. Like, of course, I like Bertolacci; he's a great player, but to choose him to overspend on compared to somebody like Witsel that you could have in the team, he's a very, very good midfielder. Wants to join Milan, and he has the quality that we need, and we just completely just blow him off and don't even, like, I don't know. It's very weird. You know, I think Galliani definitely deserves some stick, especially from the fans, because I think although we did spend a lot of money, that this Mercato went quite poorly over the fact that we didn't get a proper midfielder and instead we signed Kucka of all players.
Yeah, definitely. And once again, it just doesn't make any sense, because Milan, that was the position that they needed to fix, and they didn't. So it just doesn't make sense. And for me, when we're looking at the positions and we're supposed to actually have a solid Mercato in that midfield in order to end in the top three, for me, that is just not happening right now. So I don't understand Milan's logic behind all this. Another thing that really pissed me off was the fact that Milan actually waited until these last days, or even today to be exact, just to actually accelerate, intensify the negotiations with Zenit for Witsel. Like, if you're actually interested in a player, you would sign him. If you know he's a priority for this team, you will go ahead and sign him right away, even in the month of July. You're not going to wait until the last day where he was almost blown away there from Tottenham for even cheaper price. So for me, it just doesn't make sense. But guys, leave your comments because, of course, we're going to be answering your questions during this hour, this last and final hour of the summer transfer window. So make sure to leave your questions or comments in general. We're going to be reading them out and answering your questions all along. Now, in other news, Watford were also interested in signing Suso. However, the player will be remaining at Milan after Milan pretty much took him off the market. And once again, Suso is actually a player that he was linked with a loan swap move to Genoa with Perotti, but it just didn't happen once again. And for me, Perotti would have been a good swap deal, in my opinion. I think that if Perotti came, it wouldn't fix the situation, but I definitely saw him a few times last season, and I was pretty much impressed with what he did. But other than that, guys, the problem still remains in that midfield. Despite signing and spending money, such as the signing that we made for Romagnoli in defense, which was pretty much our best signing, I guess you can call it that, in the back. Other than that, we got rid of some players, some dead weight. We got some two great strikers, I guess you could call that, Carlos Bacca and as well as Luis Adriano. So I guess in that sense, we're fine. But the main position that Milan needed some readdressing was, once again, the midfield. That's where we had to fix. Now, questions are starting to come in. Jamie Muscat is saying, do you think Milan are okay for the midfield? Do you think we have a chance to come top three? Now, realistically speaking, guys, I don't. Mainly for the fact that we failed to reinforce that midfield with proper signings, as I've been mentioning. And I just don't think that Milan could achieve that top three in the standings. You got teams like Inter, where they readdressed almost every position, made some last-minute signings like we saw today. Perisic, of course, coming in. We saw even Felipe Melo coming in. Juventus, even though they lost a lot of players, they kind of regrouped and found some replacements, even though they're not doing really well right now. But I'm expecting that to bounce back for them. Roma making signings all along during the season, during the transfer window. Really didn't waste any time, didn't wait until the last week like Milan would do. and once again approved their position. So really, I don't see Milan ending in the top 3 with this poor general idea of not finding the proper reinforcements for, of course, the midfield. Now we have some more questions coming in from Sheriff Ramadan. He says, we have 50 minutes left in this window, and I know Milan channel stated that our Mercato is now over. However, they also said we have purchased Martinez. Are you optimistic regarding any signings, or is it definitely closed? Didn't hear about that Martinez signing up to now. I don't think it's true. Please confirm with us where you heard about that rumor, but up to now, no, Martinez is not coming. Jean-Luc Tulano says, will Torres be coming back to Milan? Is he on loan or permanently at Atletico? Torres and the old Chelsea situation pretty much ends next summer, June 30th, 2016. That's when the whole situation pretty much involving the loans, that is when it will end. And if I'm not mistaken, Torres will be remaining at Atletico after that. Mohamed Amohani saying, where do you think we will end in the table this season? Adamo, maybe you could answer that one. I already gave my prediction that we won't end in the top 3 with this kind of Mercato, but you can go for it.
Well. I'm just gonna predict 4th. I don't think we'll be making top 3, although I'd love to make top 3. But as you mentioned, all these other teams strengthening, and they do all have a proper kind of plan going forward. And Milan kind of just jumble everybody up in a bunch and just hope it goes out well. And so Mihajlovic is going to have a lot of work on his hands to do. So, I think if we do make 3rd, it's all down to Mihajlovic besides the Mercato. Speak on the Mercato, it was good to bring in players like Bacca and Luis Adriano, but really I'd rather, spend a little bit more in the midfield than in attack, because we have players like Jeremy Menez on the bench, or top goal scorer last season. So attack was a need, but it wasn't a priority for me. Midfield and defense were priorities, but I guess Milan thought otherwise, and I guess we're going to have to roll with that now. But if you ask me, I think we're going to be finishing 4th or 5th. Champions League, it's possible, but I don't think it's likely.
Yeah, you got to have luck in this too now. But speaking of team strength, Milan right now is behind a couple of teams, guys, to be exact. And to be serious with you guys, I'm going to give you an honest opinion, because I'm not going to say that Milan has a complete squad, because we definitely don't right now. And I think if you're going to end in the top 3, you're going to have a complete squad, or at least the proper players in each position. Now, also, Dam, I wanted to ask you, based on the money that we actually had, that we could have spent, the 90 million that we spent altogether, you would have definitely made some different moves with that money. What would you have done different, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, it was good to have players like, as I said, Luis Adriano, Carlos Bacca. But again, I don't think that the attack was that priority. I think we have players that we could have, the whole team last season did poorly. We could have kept El Shaarawy, for example, and played him up top. We had Jeremy Menez, as I mentioned, Cherchi. There's a lot of players there. And, we got Balotelli for a cheap price, or on loan. So I think that, we could fill those voids in other ways. But still, it's very good to have these 2 signings that we have up top. I'm very happy to have them. But still, I think, there's things that we could have done a lot better. I mean, I understand why we had to overpay for Bertolacci, but that doesn't mean we actually have to go get Bertolacci. Roma obviously bringing him from Genoa, paying the rest of their 50%, something like that, the co-ownership, obviously doubling Milan's price. So, I understand why they were asking for that price. It makes sense. But if you ask me, there's other options out there just as good, if not better, that you can get for even less. And Soriano, for example, a player that all you guys know that I like, I think he's actually probably as good, if not better, than Bertolacci, and he's for half the price. So I think you can make a move like that, plus you can afford Witsel. So I think Milan could have done a lot better in numerous areas. But overall, I can't really complain, because the last few summers we've spent absolutely nothing. Now that we're spending, I know I kind of sound a bit spoiled kind of saying all these things, but really Galliani could have done a lot better. And I just think, Milan, they just need to really get their shit together, because I think they're still going without a plan and just hoping that they can bunch players together and just hope it goes well.
Yeah, well said, well said. Now, we got some more comments from you guys. Before I keep going on, guys, don't forget to subscribe to Rossoneri TV to stay always updated with everything AC Milan on a daily basis. Also, make sure to share the stream either on Twitter or Facebook, so we can get more people on this live stream. more opinions altogether, and it will be great to see. Now, D Treats Gaming, shout out to AC Milan Norway right there, because, of course, great account on Twitter if you guys are not following him, always keeping up with the latest news and everything. He's saying, how can you possibly not reinforce our midfield after that embarrassing game against Empoli? Disgraceful by Milan and Galliani. If we're not going to get Witzel or at least get Soriano, we got none. This is unbelievable. Pathetic management altogether, and I can't agree more with that statement, guys. Really pathetic altogether. Alex Diaz is saying, do you think Bonaventura should stay in the trequartista role, or should Menez take that spot? I really liked Bonaventura when he came on for Suso there on Saturday against Empoli. I think he did a pretty good job trequartista. As I mentioned, even in that match review, he kind of gave that vibe, started actually moving the ball like Milan should be able to do. So I like him in that position. Maybe he could continue playing in that position until Menez comes back. I don't know if Menez would be the ideal player to play in that trequartista role all season long. But Mijalovic also mentioned the possibility of a 4-3-3 once some players return. So we will have to see what happens. But in the meantime, I think Bonaventura will be pretty nice to see in that trequartista role. Ivan Ivanov says, will Kucka be used as a playmaker? No, he won't be used. First of all, he doesn't have the qualities to be a playmaker altogether. And once again, that is what's bothering me, because we never found that playmaker all along. And this Mercato was the main purpose for it. I mean, that was the main player that we needed to get, and we didn't go for it. So that is why it's pissing me off that we got someone like Kucka in our last signing for this Mercato, and he's not going to be playing as a playmaker. He's a reinforcer. We all know that. Use a player that, even though he gets some assists from time to time, he's mainly known for his physical ability, like a Nocerino type of player. So, no, I don't think Ivan should be used as a playmaker. Grandiosa One has a question for you, Adamo. They say, if you were in Mijalovic's position right now, we're promised a great Mercato and a true rebuilding of the squad and management, Andrew Kucka in the midfield, which once again, Mijalovic didn't want Kucka from the start. We all know that he wanted Soriano, and then Galliani kind of brainwashed him to bring in Kucka. But would you terminate your contract on the spot? The guy must feel betrayed. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, surely he must not be too happy about it. You know, kind of in a fact, he was kind of betrayed. Milan kind of tried to play him, understanding that he's an aggressive guy, and I'm sure he spoke to them a lot about it. We need a midfielder, and you know, I guess they were just like, too bad, sorry, and whatever, you're gonna have to deal with it. So I think he's definitely put under a lot of pressure here. I wouldn't terminate my contract, but I mean, you know, YOLO, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Guys, keep sending in your questions, as we're gonna be reading them on YouTube on this live stream, of course. LCM Gaming, he says, do you think Bertolacci could become the midfielder that we always needed and wanted? He also says, do you think we overpaid for some players? Well, definitely we overpaid for some players. Bertolacci won't be, in my opinion at least, I think he still has a lot to prove for that price tag. He's going to have some decent games, but overall, from what I saw against a poor side like Empoli, with all due respect, it's not some encouraging signs that we want to see. So we'll see what happens. Mohamed says, how do you feel about Zaccardo moving on to Carpi for 1 million? 1 million, I will give this guy away for free. I will probably even give a lasagna, some pizza to Carpi just to take him away. So 1 million, I think, is more than enough for Zaccardo.
Mm-hmm. I would take it. I'd pay the other team to take him, really.
That's it. There you go. So I honestly, I will give him away. Senpai says, just a prediction, we're going to have to score non-stop. Hope for the best. Fourth is about right finish. I think so too. I think we're going to end in the top 5. But Champions League could be unrealistic right now, unless we have a crazy winter Mercato. And from now on until winter, we actually deliver some very good results. But we'll see about that. Still lots of time. Speaking about transfer window in the winter, we're not going to give an insight really of what we could expect, because technically the summer transfer window is not even done yet. But other than that, what we could expect, hopefully some reinforcements. In the midfield, once again, if we didn't do it in the summer, we have to do it in the winter. This old Mr. B Berlusconi thing should be done by then. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully some signings in the winter transfer window altogether will be good. Do you think there will be literally last-minute transfer? Very, very unlikely. Also due to the fact that in order for a contract to go through, you're going to have to bring it to the Lega, and the paperwork needs to be done. So right now, if someone's going to have to arrive, it's going to be someone within the Serie A or someone in Italy altogether. Like something like we saw with Bonaventura last year. But other than that, international transfers, very unlikely and pretty much impossible to be exact. Let's see if we have some more comments. All right. Adamo FCBG says, who is the best defender right now to be paired up with Romagnoli, in your opinion?
That's actually a pretty good question. I don't think it's Zapata, that's for sure. He makes too many mistakes.
Inconsistent.
Maybe if he gets a bit more confidence, I don't know. I don't really know. It's quite tight, and it's not a good tight race because it's all like they're all kind of mediocre-ish.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really think I can name any names. I don't really know actually.
Who would be your best bet right now?
Best bet.
With the names we have.
Not many options, but I mean, I have faith in Zapata that he could be good if he's given faith in him, and you know, if his confidence goes up. Let's just say Zapata for fun, just for the walls. I really regret saying that, but I think Mihajlovic could set him straight, because the thing that he really it's kind of like Niang, if you think, because Niang was so long. Did I say long? The one thing that Niang lacked was confidence. And his finishing obviously wasn't on point. So I think it's the same kind of scenario with Zapata, obviously a lot older than Yang. But hopefully, Mihajlovic can shape him into a proper defender. We see with Colombia, he actually plays pretty well. Still makes mistakes here and there. But, I think he could improve and could possibly make a name for himself at Milan. Hopefully. I don't think that'll be the case. But, I guess we're going to have to wait and see.
Well said. Got some more comments coming in from Alex Diaz. What do you think about Nesta becoming the head coach of Miami FC? I think it's a good opportunity for him. Miami's not going to be in the MLS right away. They're going to play in the NASL, which is like a second division, if you want to call it, for the North American League. So I think it's a good initiative by him and Maldini altogether. I think they could build a good project there. But obviously, I would rather have those two maybe involved with Milan's decisions, because they're way smarter than some people we know at Milan. I just put it like that. Not gonna go.
It's pretty sad how two of Milan's legends, one of their biggest legends, are in Miami now instead of at the club. I mean, if you look at Inter, right away they bring in Zanetti, for example. Milan, no,
Stankovic too.
Love the drama. They love the drama.
Yeah, Stankovic too there with Inter. So it's. And we also saw Bologna, Marco Di Vaio, one of their real leaders altogether. So it's pretty sad to see Milan not taking that type of initiative. But best of luck to Maldini and Nesta there at Miami. Sheriff says, how would you rate our summer Mercato out of 10? I knew this question was going to come sooner or later. Very good question. But honestly, I can't give him more than a 7 because, I mean, the main priority wasn't reached. We can't exclude the fact that our main priority wasn't signed. So, yes, we did reinforce the strikers. Yes, we did reinforce a bit the defense with Romagnoli, even though I wish someone else came along with him. But midfield-wise, it's just swaps, replacements, nothing concrete. So I'm not going to give it a good 8 or 9 out of 10. I'm going to give it max 7 out of 10, and I might be even a bit generous on that mark for Milan. Might be actually closed here, the Mercato for Milan. Still no updates altogether, unless something comes up. But we do have an update on Galliani. Speaking about Witsel, we tried to the end, but knew it finished this way. My opinion, that's complete bullshit. I'm going to say it straight up. Complete fucking bullshit.
What a guy.
Because you can't be trying for a player in the last day. Like, you haven't tried. You completely lost hope on the player. Didn't continue negotiations all summer long. That is complete nonsense from Galliani. I'm sorry. With the funds that you have, you'd rather spend on some players rather than what we need, a class player. I'm sorry, but I can't forgive that. I really can't. That is complete nonsense from Galliani. Complete.
Yep.
Chris Stannywell says, who do you think should play in front of the defense? If you're speaking about the center mid, right now I would obviously prefer a playmaker to play there. But since we don't have that playmaker or someone that is actually good to play that role, we're going to have to stick with De Jong. Because De Jong, even though he's not a playmaker, like some people think that he slows down the game, De Jong is not a playmaker. He's not there supposed to make great assists and stuff like that. That is Milan's responsibility to sign a player that is a playmaker. But I guess we don't need it, right? I guess we don't.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know. People, I guess they see it in a way that he's a midfielder, so he should be doing a lot. But that's like saying, Zapata isn't scoring enough goals. I mean, that's not his job. So they want that, brutal midfielder that, cuts out the passing lanes and, just marks his man very, very well. That's his only job, really. And that's what De Jong has been doing his whole career. So you can't really expect him to be a playmaker all of a sudden just because Milan didn't buy one because they're too irresponsible.
That's right. Exactly. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Let's see. What will we do with our midfield now? The connection between midfield and defense right now is very bad. This is what Gunnar is saying. We don't have a good and creative trequartista as well. How will we solve that? Because I worry. Well, definitely. I mean, as we mentioned, the right players didn't arrive, so we can't forfeit every game now. I mean, we're gonna have to put up with what we have, and even though those players didn't arrive, maybe players actually will need to sacrifice even more than they should be. Let's be honest, everything is easier when you have the right players, and Milan clearly don't have that mindset. I mean, if you have a creative midfielder, not only will he start creating more actions for your team, not only will he get you more goals and more chances altogether, but it will help your team in general altogether. From defense to your other midfielders to the strikers. So if this is not a priority for Milan, I don't know what is altogether, honestly.
I really hope their plan isn't to rely on Montolivo to do that job.
Well, for me, Montolivo right now, I think Mihajlovic actually wants him out. Even though it hasn't arrived yet in this summer transfer window, I think he could definitely be on his way out in the winter if he continues to keep him on the bench. Because right now, we saw players like Kucka coming in instead of Nocerino, rather than Montolivo coming in when we were tied 1-1 against Empoli. And technically speaking, you will be wishing, or at least hoping, if you're a Milan manager, to bring in a player that can make the difference. And you brought in Kucka instead of Montolivo. For me, that is a big sign that Milan's not too happy with what Montolivo has been achieving, which is a big fat 0.
Yeah, sorry, Montolivo. What a guy.
Let's read some other comments coming in. Lots and lots of them, guys. So sorry if I'm not reading all of them, but we're trying our best here. Yeah, many people obviously disappointed with Galliani and his declarations, and I can't agree more, to be honest. Just disappointing. Very disappointing that not only you haven't signed that player, but you're also trying to find, once again, excuses. We've been living with excuses for the past, I don't know how many years, and yet, even when you have the money, you're still making them. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Chris Stannywell is saying that Young now is like Gattuso playing the Pirlo role. I agree. Well, definitely. I mean, What do you expect of a player that is not supposed to be a creative midfielder in that position? Right? So it's not De Jong's fault. Those are his qualities. It's his team management that doesn't want to find that creative midfielder. Once again, you can't say that you've tried until the end to sign it. Clearly you didn't. You had 2 or 3 months to sign one. You were close to Soriano. Not even the alternative you were able to sign. Not even the alternative. That is what pisses me off the most. Because, okay, maybe Witsel wasn't there. But how come you didn't even sign the alternative, which was Soriano, despite Mihajlovic even wanting him? Mihajlovic even wanted Soriano. So why can't you even sign one of the two? I'm not saying bring in both, but not even one of the two. No Soriano, no Witsel, but we signed freaking Kucka.
Kucka, he's the man.
Try and make some sense out of that, because clearly I don't. I just don't.
Kucka, to me, I mean, he would be a good player if he wasn't the last midfielder we signed. I mean, obviously, the dog, he's just very happy about the signing of Kucka. But
don't understand how, but anyways.
But I just see Kucka as like a better version of Muntari, really. You know, he's in there, you know, just to be a lumberjack. That's pretty much it. Obviously, you know, he has a bit better qualities here and there, but you know, he's not the guy you look to really win you the game with his playmaking ability. It's not really same like with De Jong. That's not his job. That's not what he does. He's more of just a brute. He's just in there to, you know, break some legs, really.
Yeah, exactly. And we're about half an hour away, guys, from the close of this transfer window. We'll keep reading your comments and questions from now on there. Elvir actually has another question for you, Adamo. Lots of questions coming in for you there. He says, who do you want Milan to purchase? I'm guessing in the winter, and why?
Well, I mean, if Witsel was available, obviously Witsel. But if not him, there's a lot of options. Well, I guess not really a lot of options for Milan, but definitely a playmaker. I think that's definitely key. I think maybe we could ship out Montolivo and kind of, you know, with that, kind of work our way into finding another midfielder. It's hard to really name names because a lot of players wouldn't want to leave their clubs, and you know, a lot of them Milan couldn't afford. So I don't know. It's kind of tough. I would have said Soriano if he wasn't on his way to Napoli, I believe. So
yeah.
You know, that's another thing. Like you said, I don't get how we couldn't sign Witsel. So you automatically think, okay, who's the next in line? Soriano. Nope. We're just gonna, you know, just take him. Napoli, just take him. I don't know. It's weird.
Definitely. Now, another thing that has been really bothering me is people still praising Galliani. The guy was a legend, let's be honest. He was a big legend back in the years when he used to make signings out of nothing. Cheap signings, too. Would take massive price decreases, would get you those unexpected players that would turn into superstars, like we had seen with Pato, obviously, back in the days. Not now, but Kucka. Those types of players. Now, it's like he tries to work thinking about the objectives, but he doesn't get to the objectives. And when there's no objectives that have been reached, he turns his attention to Genoa, where his best friend Preziosi could be giving him a deal. I'm sorry, but right now you're talking about Kucka and Bertolacci, two Genoa midfielders in our team, which are supposed to make that difference. Technically, that's what you're trying to tell me. If Kucka was your last midfielder that we signed and Bertolacci, you spent 20 million for him. You're telling me that this general midfield is supposed to save our bacon? Like, technically not. We can't just think like that. You're expecting this type of midfield to get us in the Champions League? Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But technically speaking, when you're looking at this team roster, you can't think like that. You just can't. So, very disappointed. And many people all over Twitter, Facebook are all disappointed. And guys, I can't blame you. Like, I just can't. I just can't blame you. Adamo, there's a question for you. What do you think of a midfield composed of De Jong, Montolivo in the middle, and Bertolacci?
Well, it all depends on Montolivo, really. If he starts to perform, obviously that would be fantastic because, you know, he is a good playmaker when on his day, but he's never on his day in the past like 2 years. So, you know, it could work out if Montolivo was set straight, but I don't think that will happen. And like you said, I think Mihajlovic actually wants him to leave Milan. So, you know, I'd rather, you know, kind of maybe move Bonaventura back to CM and kick out Montolivo or play somebody else. You know, overall, it all depends on Montolivo, like I said.
Yeah, and right now I just don't see him being our savior. I don't know. After that injury, he just wasn't the same player. I've been giving him a lot of stick, a lot of criticism altogether. Deserved criticism, to be honest. And the fact that Mihalovic is actually, once again, avoiding him rather than some players tells you a lot. Maybe what's even going on at the training ground. I remember seeing pictures now. It might be fake pictures or not, but I remember seeing them where Montolivo was just dead and everyone else was running around. So maybe his match fitness is not yet ready. Right now, I wouldn't put him in the team. That's for sure. That's for sure. No doubt about it. Yazan Abadi has a question. Can Milan buy any free agents even if the window closes? Well, technically we can't, because you have to do those signings in the time permitted that the league gives you. So we can't sign free agents if I stand correct. But you could negotiate and they could become players as soon as the winter transfer window starts, pretty much. So you can't officially become a Milan player in this time, but you will as soon as the winter transfer window starts, and you can start playing as soon as January arrives, pretty much. But once again, I don't want to focus on the winter because Milan have things to do this transfer window. They fixed the problems in some areas, but in the midfield, very disappointed. Like, we struggled against Empoli. That is my main problem. We struggled against Empoli.
Yeah, that's a side, again, as I said in the previous videos, that lost a lot of key components as well. So, you know, it's very, very poor performance. And Mihalovic clearly showed that he was upset about that. And, you know, it just shows that Milan didn't get the job done in the transfer window. Of course, we brought in a lot of quality players, but not the ones that we needed desperately.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, once again, some players have to come in no matter what. We need a defender for sure, but I don't know, man. It's just ridiculous altogether. Just ridiculous. Sancho's mentioning, do you think maybe our midfield wakes up? Bertolacci, for example. I don't know exactly what you mean by waking up, but maybe Bertolacci needs to wake up altogether. Let's be honest. He came from a side like Genoa where expectations weren't high enough. But he's coming into this Milan side that need the full support of every player and the full skill of every player in order to succeed and reach their goals. So if I were Bertolacci, I will once again think of the price Milan paid for me. And from there on, I would obviously adapt and bring the most out of myself to make this Milan side competitive in the midfield. But when we signed Bertolacci, it's not that I wasn't happy or I was pissed, but more of the fact that I was thinking to myself, is this the last midfield that we're getting that could possibly bring quality to the midfield? I was always with the idea of us signing another player altogether that could bring that quality even after Bertolacci. I mean, let's be honest, guys. There were rumors of Soriano and Witsel all summer long, and everyone was sure that at least one of them would arrive. Being so close to both of them, and then just because of a small detail, you don't agree to the deal. Like, it doesn't make sense. And also another thing, if Milan is supposed to bring all this money in this market, even though Mr. B arrives in winter, I'm just saying, like, he brings his actual funds in the winter. Even though that happens then, what is the problem with signing Witsel if you can't pay it right now? Pay it, Mr. B will give you the money back, simple as that. Done deal. Like, I don't understand the fact that you don't agree to a deal after the only problem was based on either the buyout option or the possible buyout option or the obligatory buyout option. Like, if I were Milan, I wouldn't kill a deal just because of that. Like, the money was pretty much going to be the same, believe it or not. So,
very, very fishy, Milan. Very fishy.
Chris Stanningwell, didn't Montolivo play behind the strikers with Italy national team in 2012? He played good. Yeah, once again, in 2012. That was 3 years ago. But after the injury and everything, beside that year, he completely shattered. He was completely a different player. I can't refer back to the Montolivo 3 years ago. It's two different players. Geo Sports says, what do you think about the defense made up of De Sciglio, Rodrigo Eli, Romagnoli, and Antonelli backline?
Interesting. I actually quite like that. I think Eli will have a big role this season. With a lot of players like Mexa, Zapata, as I mentioned, all not the greatest center back. So I think if he can really step up his game, he could definitely get a starting spot, and it could be really big for his career.
Yeah, definitely. Missing that game against Empoli there due to suspension. Now, big question marks if Mihajlovic will actually include him in the starting 11 against Inter in the Derby in 2 weeks' time. But we'll talk about that later on. Antonelli, guys, also, he will be out on injury. In case you didn't hear, he got injured in the game against Empoli and is supposed to miss the Derby against Inter. He might return in time for the game against Palermo the week after. Kind of a joke there from Sheriff, saying AC Milan's Twitter didn't say that their Mercato is closed and they're pretty active. Their last post was 8 hours ago. Not even announcing the departures of Matri or Zaccardo. These guys, close the Twitter account. We're not going to read any suggestions from the fans.
What a bunch of legends.
Let's hear a comment from AC Milan Norma once again. He says, Inter did it right this time. Mancini got pretty much everyone he wanted. During the last days, he wanted a left back, right winger, in the midfield, and he got exactly that with Alex Telles, Laic, and Felipe Melo all in one day, guys. And we were crying out for a midfielder for over a month, and we still couldn't do it. This is pathetic. I'm not looking forward to the Derby. Once again, the disappointment shows from all Milan fans. And Inter have a serious threatening team, I have to say. With all those acquisitions, they actually spend the money. They had their goals set right. And I don't want to be here speaking good about Inter. Let's be honest, guys. There are rivals, but I have to be honest. And Inter actually did what we didn't do. Simple as that. Simple as that.
I mean, really, if you look at their Mercato, it's almost perfect. Brought in everything they needed. And, if they do poorly this season, I think it's down to Mancini. You can say that the players still need to gel, but I think this is the season where it's make or break for Mancini, because we said last season, he did very, very poorly alongside Milan. And, next season's going to be his last chance in the sense of, we're giving you all these great players, so you better make something out of it. So I think Mancini is going to be under a lot of fire, which will cause him to do even better. And I think Inter can be a very, very dangerous threat. Milan, on the other hand, missing a lot of pieces to their jigsaw puzzle. And, I think it's really down to Mihajlovic. He's going to need to make these players outperform themselves and, really work for that third Champions League spot.
Yeah, definitely a harder task for Mihajlovic, let's be honest, because Mancini did get all these players that he wanted. Or at least they fixed those voids, you could say, in the positions that they were lacking. So Mihajlovic has a harder task altogether. Of course, Jovetic getting to an amazing start there for Inter. But as you mentioned, Adamo, you will have to make the best out of every player if you want to achieve our goals. And if we don't, then we all know once again who to blame, because obviously the priority was the midfield and the signing wasn't made. So you can't blame the team. You can't blame the coach if of course, you can blame the team if the results don't come, but the major blame should go to the management that didn't sign the player that was needed. And this time they can't make the excuse of no money. So no excuses this time around, guys. Let's be honest. All in One says, what do you think of Balotelli's return and the legend Zaccardo show leaving? Adamo, you kind of mentioned a bit about Balotelli and his return in your video there a few days back. But once again, do you think Balotelli could actually play a vital part in this team, kind of use as a super sub, or maybe even get a starting position at some point in the season?
Definitely possible. I mean, if he's really keen on working hard, this is like a new Balotelli that we're seeing. So if he stays true to his word, he could make a big impact, and he could help us score more goals than we concede, which is definitely a big thing. So, I'm very hopeful that Balotelli actually does well. He'll also have a crucial role. The whole team will, every single player on the bench, the starting XI, because players are going to get injured as well. So everybody's going to have to step up. And if Balotelli can step up, when he's on his A game, he's one of the best strikers in the world. But when he's not, he brings your team down. So hopefully Mihajlovic can kind of sort him out, and he's going to follow the right path. And if he does, it could be a big, big advantage for Milan, and it could be the signing of the season if he does very, very well. But it could also be the fact that he just does nothing and it's just completely neutral.
For sure. Jonathan Barrera saying, with a young defense, can Romagnoli work with an experienced elite correctly, or will it fall to crap? Personally, I always think that in defense, you need that experience no matter what, okay? You're going to need at least one player in the center backs to be experienced, strong, and mostly be like a tutor to the youngster, that being Romagnoli. For me, if Romagnoli and Rodrigo Eli are supposed to be the two pillars in the back that will have to carry this team, I think it will be too much to handle for them together. Let's be honest, Rodrigo Eli had a very solid season with Avellino, possibly one of the best defenders in the Serie B. But the move from Serie B to Serie A and your instant impact, your instant help to the team, especially in the defense, blocking everything, that is not something you're required. Now, let's be honest. Rodrigo Eli, people were thinking that this guy was even going to be loaned out once Milan reacquired him. And now there's a possibility of him being a full-time regular. So I think expectations shouldn't be that high for Rodrigo Eli. If he could get the job done, then all for it. But if he doesn't, if there's a problem with how the defense is playing, then we'll definitely need someone more experienced in that backline. Even though people are against Maxes or Zapata, of course, I don't really rate him high, but Maxes could maybe do some good things on his good days. Maxes could become a good player. Let's be honest. Once again, it's the consistency that lacks at Milan in every position. It's the consistency all around. So, here's another question for you, Adamo. Yazan Abadi says, many may get pissed at me, but I believe that Milan overspent on Carlos Bacca. Now, don't get me wrong, he is good, but we could have signed someone better for a better price. Wasn't Jovetic linked to us? And look at him, he's exploiting at Inter. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, you can make that case, in the fact that, you could spend better money elsewhere, I guess you could say. But those are also risks, bringing a player like Jovetic, you don't know if he's going to come in and get injured right off the bat, because in the previous seasons with Manchester City, he was either injured or just not used. So, you have to, really cut your losses. With Bacca, he was one of the top scorers in La Liga, and obviously you can't compare the defenses in the two leagues, but it's still not easy to score in that league. It's not like some lower division. So I definitely think that Milan, they could have spent elsewhere, but you also have to really take in that you're going to be risking a lot of things. If you go for a younger signing, then you're going to risk that he might not perform, then he might not grow well. If you go for somebody like Jovetic, for example, he might be injury prone. So I think Bacca, I'm not really too upset about his signing. It's kind of helping that he's doing so well, but I think it was a good signing for the money. Yeah, you could have done better elsewhere, but you're gonna really have to dig deep, and you're gonna have to take risks. So there's a big chance that you could really lose out and just wasted your money. So I'm happy with Bacca. I'm fine with the price tag that it costed him. The player I'm the most upset about is Bertolacci's price tag, because I would have much rather just not have Bertolacci at all and bring in Witsel. And it would have been no problem to have a player like Axel in the side, because money wouldn't be an issue. The obligation, I don't know why that is even an issue, but that wouldn't have been an issue if we didn't sign Bertolacci. So if you ask me, Bertolacci is the big thing that kind of stunted Milan. Not him specifically, but, Milan bringing him in for the price that they did. I think they could have done better in that area of the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking about that, I mean, Carlos Bacca came from a team like Sevilla that actually performed very well in the Europa League, winning it actually. So I think you're kind of expecting that price tag. You're not going to get it for much cheaper, especially considering the fact that he was one of the top scorers in La Liga, as Adamo mentioned. So another thing is that you have to look a bit at the player's background. Jovetic coming from a few seasons that he was out on injury. Bacca from a few seasons that he was performing very well with Sevilla. Obviously, you're going to have to look at those factors as well rather than just the price tags. But right now, it's not a concern that I will worry about because Bacca is doing okay for now. Where you should be worried is in the long run. You're going to have to see players in the long run. You can't judge players after 2-3 games. And I know that might be the case with Bertolacci, some of you might say. But let's be honest, guys, okay? I've always been with this aspect in mind that a player, you can judge a player right away when you see a player, okay? It's not about bad performances or good performances. When you see a player, you should get a general idea if he's good or not, despite if you see him for 1 game, 5 games, or 10 games. That is my opinion. Bacca has proven things to me so far, also in the Coppa Italia, alongside Luis Adriano. So right now, there's no reason for me to complain about them. Bertolacci, I saw him a few times for Genoa last season. He did some good things. I was expecting more. But when he arrived, he was never that player that I knew was going to fix the problem. While Carlos Bacca was, because obviously after having seasons and seasons of great goal-scoring campaigns, you're not going to really all in one shot just stop scoring. Like, it's impossible. I never heard about that anywhere.
Yeah. That's a good point you bring up. I mean, Bertolacci, great player. I mean, did well with Genoa, but you can't, especially under the pressure that there is at Milan, you can't expect him to be filling the hole that you needed. The reason, I was upset over Bertolacci's price when we did sign him, but I was thinking, okay, we're going to still bring in a creative midfielder. And now there's even more weight on his shoulder because he's going to have to be that creative midfielder. And there's going to be pressure on him to do even better than he did at Genoa, which is going to be very, very hard. But, he's going to really have to do well if he wants the fans to be behind him and the management. So I think Milan put Bertolacci in a bad position because now all the weight is on his shoulders for the playmaking area of the pitch.
Well said. Now, Jonathan is saying, let's say we bought Jackson, Kondogbia, and Witzel. Do you think then we could have won a Scudetto or more? Tough question. That is, once again, a lot of money being spent. But technically, if you think of it, that could have been 3 players that could have been wearing the Milan jersey right now, if you think of it. So right now, I wouldn't make that assumption that we could win a Scudetto with that, but it would have been a big help altogether. Let's be honest. FCBG is saying, do you think the Sciglio will improve from last season? The Sciglio is once again very disappointing. He's been disappointing me for a long time now. And so far what he has shown me is not good enough. Not good enough for me to give him a positive judgment because he's been very poor. Personally, I enjoy players that are tough. Players that are not only physical, but won't give up fast. And for me, the Sciglio gives me always that aspect of being a soft-minded player. And, I don't want him to be like that. Trust me, I want to change his mentality, for God's sake. If he could just change that mentality and actually be so, much tougher on the ball and stuff like that. I know every player doesn't possess those qualities, but still, how much better it will be for a player like the Sciglio to have that. And once again, his crossing game and moving forward movements altogether needs to improve. Right now, our best fullback has to be Antonelli. We see week in and week out what he's capable of. Good in ball movement, pushes up very well, creates chances. That is what I want from the Sciglio. And right now, he's not showing it.
I wish we could just somehow squeeze Poli and the Sciglio together.
That would be good.
His mentality and the Sciglio's ability and his potential. That would be perfect. I mean, it's not this haven where we can just make that happen. But, maybe Mihailovic can instill this thing into the Sciglio's mind that he has to be more aggressive. He has to have that not give up factor. If you lose the ball, you have to regain the possession, and you can't just quit. Because we see a lot of times if for example, if the Sciglio actually goes up when we want him to, he'll lose the ball and he'll just stay at right wing for some reason. He'll just slowly walk back when the ball's going down flank, and we could concede that way. So he has to be a lot more aggressive and a lot more
clinical
grit that Poli has, for example.
Yeah, definitely more clinical altogether. We can't afford having players that technically, yes, there's 11 on the pitch, but in reality, it seems like we have like 9 or 10 playing instead. Now, 5 minutes left, guys, in the transfer window, of course. And there's an update actually for Soriano, guys. There's an update for Soriano because, no, he won't come to Milan. Let's put it right away. But it seems like Napoli has still not submitted the contract, and they're still working with Sampdoria to resolve a deal. Corriere della Sera is saying that Berlusconi blocked any big investment in the last day, and he also didn't want Soriano. What do you think about that?
Well, typical guy, Berlusconi. I hope that he changed his mind, because like Soriano, I can understand he's not a world-class signing, but at least he's a proper playmaker and he can get the job done, and he's actually pretty decent defensively as well if you need him to do that. So he can track back as well. So for Soriano, he didn't go for cheap. I thought he'd actually go for cheaper than that, but he didn't. But he didn't go for too much either. I think Milan could have easily afforded him, and he could have been a solid playmaker. He wouldn't have solved all their problems, but he definitely would have made it a lot easier for Milan to get that third Champions League spot. And I think Milan will definitely regret not signing a proper playmaker.
Definitely. And when you think of it, some people say it's not all about buying players. I understand where you're going. It's not. Really, it's not, because it's also how the coach develops these players altogether. Don't get me wrong about that. But we can't deny the fact that these players will help the team in general. So, to me, that's one of the most important aspects to look at. The help and the facility that these players could come in and bring to the team. That is a very important point to look at. Now, 3 minutes left, guys. So if you have some last-minute questions for this live stream, go on and send them to us, and we'll do our best to respond to what you guys want us to know, or want you to know, rather. Sheriff saying, once again, do you feel Balotelli can actually live up to the hype that's around him, or is it, as they say, too late to teach the dog new tricks? That's a nice expression, I have to say. What do you think, Adamo?
I don't think he really has a lot of expectations. I think a lot of people are setting in their brain that he's going to do nothing. Just for, not that they think that he's going to do that, but just for the fact, like, prepare yourselves for the worst, really. I don't think people expect him to do amazing. I don't think they expect him to return to the Balotelli of the past. But he does have some expectations of the fact that he's been saying, oh, he's here to work. He's a new man. He wants to really start off his career well, and he's coming back to Milan, of course. So I think this was bound to happen. I think he was eventually going to return to AC Milan, whether it would have been after a poor or a good season. Eventually, somewhere along the line, he would have came back to the club because it's his favorite club, obviously, and I think it's just ideal for him. But he's going to need a lot of support. He's going to need the support of Mihajlovic. He's going to need the support of the fans. And when he does good, we're gonna have to praise him. And you have to treat it kind of like a kid. If he does something good, you treat him well. If he does something bad, you don't. And hopefully he learns from those. And hopefully he can do well, because as I said previously, he can be a big factor in this Milan side if he does do well. We do kind of have a hole in the trequartista area. Also, we can play Bonaventura there if need be. Honda, on his day, he's pretty solid there. But Balotelli, if he performs well, he can play there. He can, play as one of the strikers or anything. So I think really it's all down to Balotelli and how Mihajlovic handles him. And hopefully all goes well. But hopefully he doesn't crack under the pressure. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
Well said, well said. Now, guys, we're just seconds away from the actual official closure of this transfer window. And there's just one more thing that an Interista actually reminded us, and very well said, because he said that Basili and Soriano would have cost around 20 million, same as Bertolacci costed. And that is a very good point. Basili, Zappa cost, I think, a complete steal there by Torino. So, once again, players that we were linked to, and you can't go out of your way, like Galliani would say, and say, we tried our best. it's not an excuse, guys. It's not an excuse. So on that note, the transfer market is officially over. Some players came, some arrived, some left, and this long summer has finally ended. Wow, has it been a long summer?
Yeah. I'm actually surprised of some things. Players that I thought would leave didn't leave. Menez, for example, a player that I thought Milan would cash in on, haven't. But hopefully this improves Milan, and hopefully Mihajlovic can handle these players well that he's been given, and hopefully Milan get the third spot.
Well said, well said. Guys, also, thank you all so much, really. It's been a crazy summer where you guys shown crazy support on a daily basis from when we started in the very first days of June up to now. 3 months straight, guys, with continuous updates to bring to you guys. And we just want to thank you for all the support that you've been showing us day in and day out, to all the people that subscribe to us, that made our channel get out there. Really, we want to give back to you guys. And we will continue to make videos all along the season to bring to you guys, to keep you updated with AC Milan. So also a few comments I wanted to make regarding the channel, since I think this will be a good opportunity that I'm actually speaking live to you guys. There's a lot of people in the channel that write comments, and for some reason their YouTube settings are not optimized in order for me to reply to them. I see a lot of people like that, and for you to check to see if you have that problem or not, simply go on the video where you commented and see if people could actually reply to you. If there's no reply option, then it means that you have to check your YouTube settings in order to change that, so we can actually give you guys replies, because we would like to reply to everyone, but unfortunately there's a lot of people that have their YouTube settings tuned out like that. So make sure to check that out. Very important. And that's pretty much it, I guess. That is it. So thank you guys for watching once again this live stream. Once again, Adamo, do you have any words for the fans out there?
Well, you guys, thebomb.com. So I'm going to say you guys are thebomb.com. A lot of support. We love it. We do a lot of work here at Rossoneri TV, and, finally we're getting that push kind of out there. It's being more public. So really, it's all because of you guys. Can't thank you guys enough, and all the support you've been giving on all the videos, whether it be the transfer dailies or the opinionated videos. It's been fantastic, and really, I can't thank you guys enough.
Yeah, definitely been working for you guys day in and day out to bring out these videos. Sometimes even refusing plans. That is how serious we are about this channel.
Yeah.
But that is all for you guys. So I'm glad you guys showed the support and appreciated what we did for you guys. So on that note, guys, thank you for watching the live stream. Stay tuned to the channel. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook to keep updated with our latest videos, as we will bring you updates all along, once again, the season, to keep you guys updated. And who knows, maybe you guys could also have the opportunity to join us on videos. We're also looking for people that want to send fan reactions after matches or personal opinions on certain topics at Milan. So if you're interested in all that, you want to feature on the channel, you want to show and make your opinion heard from thousands of fans, make sure to follow us on Twitter or Facebook, message us there, and we'll set you guys up. Simple as that. So on that note, guys, thank you once again for watching. This has been Gio and Adamo signing off from Rossoneri TV, and as always, Forza Milan.